As therapists, sometimes having a purely psychological perspective can break people up. It can break relationships up if we don't have a umbrella of a spiritual understanding of how if a personality is afraid, it will use values. It will use anything to get in the way of the relationship, to sabotage the relationship. Because love is really hard, especially if we've had trauma or we've had difficult relationships. Um, if we didn't have parents that necessarily met our needs and attuned with us and were even abusive or neglectful, there wasn't a lot of education around parenting. Um, and the education along the way has been kind of iffy. I think the ideas coming out now, like there's a Dr. Becky Kennedy has a lot of really good parenting information. The ideas coming out now are really all about calming the nervous system. So, right now in the psychological realm, we're becoming more aware of the nervous system, of the physiology, not only the psychology of health, so that we are helping people really come down from living at an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, living in a more responsive nervous system, one that goes maybe to 10, but then comes back to one. We don't need to be living in any kind of escalated nervous system, but that's what trauma does. That's what relationships that are fraught do to us. We start living at that higher level, a hypervigilance. So, coming back to the idea that if we're only psychological and we're only working on needs and we're only working from not a physiological but a psychological perspective, like, yeah, that person's not meeting your needs, then we're missing a big piece of the puzzle. Our goal is actually to keep people together. Our goal is to increase love, is to increase the capacity of the nervous system to sustain love. And having so when I talk about having a slight spiritual umbrella, I'm talking about the ego, not Freud's ego, but it's more from more from a spiritual perspective. The ego tends to want to sabotage relationship because relationships haven't been safe before. So it will use anything to be right. And Marianne Williamson used to say, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? A lot of people say both. But what she's talking about there is that when we get into this black and white, like it has to be this way. Sure, in relationship, there are going to be deal breakers, but people have fights over the garden, over the who took the trash can out. you know, our fights are never over big things. But then the ego can get behind it and go, if you don't believe this, then I can't sustain this. There's a lot of fear underneath our ego because we don't really know what love is. We're on the road to learning about it, which is amazing. Love in the nervous system is a buoy, it's a support, it's strong, it's foundational, it's calm. And we live in a very fast, society where things are moving a lot faster than our brain can really keep up with. Our brains are like 30,000 years. They haven't changed in 30,000 years. And you can see how the technology has changed. So our poor little brains. So both in the psychological and the spiritual realms, we're trying to help our bodies achieve love, achieve calm, feeling safer, feeling more regulated. And that is a journey. It's the journey to love. It's the journey to connection and to joy. We really can be living at a higher level of joy. So the healing journey takes us there. And so I hope you'll go on that journey if you're struggling. It's so worth it. Heaven is a place inside. All right, take good care.